Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AITA. In today's episode, AITA for telling my best friend his GF is disgusting? AITA for not keeping my promise to my son? AITA for being rude to the dogs of a lady I'm pet sitting for and yelling at her? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. AITA for telling my best friend his GF is disgusting? I, 22F, have been friends with Danny, 22M, since high school, and he recently moved in with his current GF Lucy, 22F. They had a housewarming party on Friday and Lucy spent most of the night dancing with her own friends who were very like her, excitable extroverted E.G, and dragging Danny away from his conversations with us, his friends, to dance even though he's more like us, introverted not party animals. Later Danny was being quiet, so I asked if he was okay and he said just tired, but he just kept watching Lucy dancing and then said something in her ear the next time she came over and she just shook her head and laughed at him. After she went back to her friends, I asked if it was bothering him how she was behaving and he asked me to explain. I mentioned the attention-seeking dancing and the fact she was wearing something really revealing even though other guys were at this party. Danny said it didn't bother him, then sat with a moody face. At the end of the night, Lucy sat down with us and started chatting non-stop about how amazing the party had been. I pointed out jokingly Danny obviously wasn't enjoying himself since he looked miserable, and Danny told her I was worried he was jealous because of her outfit. Lucy ruffled his hair, which he hates, and said he was quiet because he loved her outfit so much he couldn't wait for us all to leave so he could drag her to bed. I thought that was completely inappropriate and said to Danny in that case I'd leave if she was just going to be disgusting, and Lucy just laughed at me, so I did leave. Today Danny has messaged me saying Lucy wants an apology before I'm allowed back at their home, but when I asked if Lucy will apologize for making me uncomfortable, he said no, she doesn't have anything to be sorry about. I was genuinely only worried about my friend, but admit I could have just left without calling her disgusting, so AITA? ETA. To clarify, I didn't say the comment about her clothes directly to Lucy. I asked Danny once, then never mentioned it again. I asked him because I know in the past he's said anything overly sexual makes him uncomfortable. He's not the kind of guy who makes innuendos or anything. Also, I'm in no way jealous of Lucy. She's the opposite of how I'd want to be, which is fine. People can be who they want, and Danny and I already tried dating years ago, but the spark wasn't there and it was uncomfortable after we tried being intimate, and we both agreed we were better as completely platonic friends. YTA, girl, what? I'm sorry, but that's such a hateful way to talk ABT someone's GF, just for having fun. She was literally just minding her business, having a good time, and you had to hate on her for it? She dances with her friends in her own house. Clutches pearls. YTA, just say that you want to date Danny and be done with the jealously. Or admit that she wants to keep him to herself even if not romantically involved. This sounds like a classic I don't want him but I don't want anyone else to have him either scenario. YTA and a jealous one at that. Edit to add, Danny was uncomfortable because of the way you were acting. Was looking for this comment. Danny was looking miserable and upset because OP spent all night scoffing at and belittling his girlfriend in their own home. Nasty and no self-awareness. Yeah, for real. Who wants to deal with that type of crap? YTA. Your friend literally told you that he wasn't bothered, but you still felt offended. It's giving jealous, and felt compelled to say something despite both of them being fine with it. And if he wasn't fine with it, it still wasn't your business, because if he wanted you to know he would have told you. You didn't jokingly point it out, you said it because you wanted how you felt to be known. Also, if he wasn't fine with it, it still wasn't her business to handle because it's not her relationship. Actively insulting him by acting like he isn't adult enough to manage his own relationship. Yeah, YTA. Lucy sounds like she was having a good time and Danny didn't seem to mind her behavior at all until you decided to stir up drama. I don't know if you feel like you're losing your friend or if you have a thing for him but you've injected yourself into his relationship unwanted and unasked and insulted your friend's partner. Apologize and stop being so judgmental of their relationship if you want to remain friends. Lucy sounds fun AF TBH, I wanna hang W Lucy and her friends. YTA. You sound jealous LOL. YTA. It's his relationship, not yours. Just because something is bothering you doesn't mean it's bothering him. Commenting on whether he was okay with her wardrobe makes you look controlling, because it is. Unless he expresses something directly to you, it's not your business. Danny and I already tried dating years ago. OP needs to stop. She seems to want it to be known that she knows this man better than anyone when she clearly doesn't. Lucy was in her own home, wearing her own clothes, dancing with her own boyfriend. If OP was oh so uncomfortable, they could have hit the road instead of stinking up the place with their negative energy. The BF may have 100% wanted to keep dancing with his GF, but instead he had to entertain his buzzkill of a friend. AITA for not keeping my promise to my son? My son is getting married. I promised all of my kids that I will help them with wedding costs, and I helped my 2 oldest kids. However, my son is getting married to an insufferable woman. She is too egoistic and I don't like her at all. Also, there is also my youngest child. She is very smart and there is this really expensive school in our city that I think would be good for her and help her get into a better college. I can only afford one thing, either put the money towards my daughter's education or give it to my son for his wedding. My wife wants to give it to my son, but as it is my money, my wife and I have separate accounts, I decided to save it for my daughter. My wife and son both think I'm an asshole, but I think my daughter's future is more important than a party. YTA, unless you said to your son I promise to fund your wedding unless I don't like your fiancé, you made a promise and then you broke it. Only AHs do that. I get the impression that OP is only even using not liking his soon-to-be DIL as an excuse to give the money to his daughter instead. Which makes me think there's probably a history of favoritism. Chances are their relationship will never be the same after this stunt. YTA. ETA, OP admitted in a response that even if he did like his future DIL, he's not sure he'd give them any money for the wedding. YTA, don't make promises you cannot, or will not, keep. Secondly, if you never want your son to talk to you again, continue with this plan. He will hate you forever for showing such blatant favoritism towards other siblings. Also, you must know already you're an asshole for this, right? Not just the favoritism, but also for not trusting your son to choose his own life partner. OP, you're not marrying this woman. Your son is. If you love him, and he loves her, then maybe you just need to get over yourself and let your son live his life. Also a great way to create resentment between the son and daughter. YTA. You promised your son. You did not impose a condition. That is a bait and switch. Your daughter's private school education is irrelevant. I don't think it's irrelevant. If that was the only issue at hand, only being able to afford one, I think he would be right in choosing the daughter's education over a wedding /party. But the wording of the post makes it seem that it's just an excuse because he doesn't like the daughter-in-law, or there is favoritism towards the youngest child. Circumstances change. Although OP shouldn't expect this decision to be free of consequences. YTA, don't make promises you don't intend to keep. YTA, with this action, you're just telling your son that you don't value him as much as you value your other children. YTA. You are not the one getting married to this woman, so what does your opinion matter? Someone does sound insufferable in this post, but it's not your son's fiancée. YTA. Info, if you liked his future wife, would you keep your promise? If so, YTA. You made the promise without knowing your 2 oldest partners, I assume, so why should your son be treated any differently? YTA. I agree that an education is more important than a party, but you made the promise, and already gave it to 2 other kids. AITA for being rude to the dogs of a lady I'm pet sitting for, and yelling at her? I, 24F, am a pet sitter and recently got a client who needs some regular pet sitting as she goes out of town for the weekend sometimes. She has 6 dogs. Very friendly dogs. After my second weekend there, she called me and thanked me but said she was concerned about one thing she saw on the nanny cam footage. I thought of what I could have done wrong. She said that when I sat down on the couch and all the dogs were trying to get on me and pant and slobber in my face that I turned away from them and tried to nudge them away. She said it was important that someone not turn away from her dogs when they show excitement since she wants to encourage them to be friendly. I said, oh, so basically I should let the dogs breathe and slobber in my face when they want to? I thought she'd see the absurdity of it, but she basically just said yes, exactly. Seeming to think nothing of it. The next time I went over, she had me sit down on the first step of the staircase with all the dogs around, and one predictably started licking and panting into my face, and she sort of laughed and said, see, don't turn away, he likes you, you'll learn to be fond of it. I did my best to hold my breath, but after all the dogs had their turn I was ready to puke. I held it in as best I could until she was out the door and then gagged and felt sick for half an hour. The next visit the same thing happened, and this time I did wince and turn around, which she got upset at. I told her that their breath stinks and I can't take it, and she got offended and said that they clean their teeth and it smells exactly as dog breath should smell, and that a real dog person would embrace that and accept their affection. I ended up yelling, stop trying to get me to smell your dog's breath, you weirdo, and storming out, probably leaving her scrambling to find someone else for the weekend to cover. I am sad to lose a consistent high-paying client, but I just couldn't take that anymore. I told a friend about it and he said, well, she does have a point that you can't act all averse to dogs and turn away from them in that industry, but I just thought there's a big difference between showing enthusiasm for dogs and for their breath. AITA? NTA. That is exactly the opposite of training a dog to be appropriately friendly. Now I'm wondering, can dog breath really smell that much worse than human breath? How bad can it actually stink? I'm surprised it was bad enough that Opie felt sick for half an hour. Yikes. Yep, discouraging jumping, getting up in personal space, etc. is one of the first things they teach in dog training classes. I have 2 dogs. Love them to death. Wouldn't trade them for the world. But you know what else they tend to do? Eat their poop sometimes. Lick their privates too. All of this to say? Dogs may be man's best friend and I would be lost without them, but letting them slobber all over me is something I trained them to do because they're not worth a hospital visit over. Sure, I let them show their love with kisses, but they know not to go to that extreme. Not being willing to risk your health to satisfy an unreasonable demand from a client? Well, OP, I have to be brutally honest here, that makes you NTA. NTA. Turning away from dogs is actually the best way to reject unwanted behavior. The thing is, the lady didn't see this as unwanted behavior. Thinking of this makes me cringe. Right, and discouraging this type of behavior also doesn't mean discouraging overall friendly behavior. Dogs can be friendly without being obnoxious. NTA. You're being hired to care for the dog's basic needs like food, poop, and walks. You're not being hired to make love to her dogs. You had every right to draw a stern boundary and leave. When you work for yourself, something that you learn quickly is that not every client is reasonable, and sometimes you need to walk away from unreasonable clients. NTA at all. Dogs lick each other's faces and mouths to show submission and affection, but do you know what a dog will do when it doesn't feel like being slobbered on? Turn its head away or use its shoulder to redirect the other dog. Do you know what they do when the licking dog doesn't listen? Growl, snap, sometimes even bite the other dog's face, not hard enough to injure, and hang on for a second. That's how dogs say fuck off, I mean it, and even that doesn't usually last for long. It will not cause the dog to stop being friendly. Boundaries, especially personal boundaries, are very important in canine communication. They often have an implicit understanding of it because their own mothers will growl and snap at them for crossing the wrong boundaries, even when they're just teeny little roly-polies. Dogs generally, and should, understand and know. In fact, I would say it's unhealthy for dogs, especially that many in a pack, to not have personal boundaries regularly enforced. I would refuse to consider sitting for these dogs if the owner insisted I let them walk over my boundaries. NTA. I'm a dog person, but I can't stand dog breath. I'll clean up their poo without complaining, anything but the breath. Dogs shouldn't be encouraged to be all up in your face. They can be friendly, but letting them get up on people is a big no-no and can cause serious harm or injury. I had an overly friendly husky get in my face and ended up knocking into my teeth and chipping it along with a bloody lip. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.